new house, old haunts. When my son and his girlfriend moved into a brand new house, they were excited. The house was small, but perfect. It was clean, modern, and stood alone with no neighbors attached. They had saved for months to afford it and were proud to finally live together. It was in a quiet neighborhood, close to his job, and everything looked perfect on paper. But things started to feel strange right away. One afternoon, my son's girlfriend called me. Her voice was shaky and she sounded scared. "Can you stay on the phone with me?" she asked. "I think something is in the house." I asked her what she meant. "I hear someone walking up and down the hallway," she whispered. "Loud steps, heavy ones. But there's no one here. And I keep feeling like someone is behind me. I move from one room to the next, and it's like it follows me." I thought maybe it was the house settling. Maybe new homes made sounds sometimes. But then I heard it. Through the phone, I could hear loud thumping. Boom, 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 like someone stomping their feet angrily. It was not normal. It was not soft. It sounded like someone was throwing a fit, walking hard from one end of the hallway to the other. My skin crawled. "Did you call my son?" I asked her. "Yes," she said. "He said he hears it too all the time. He just tries to ignore it." I felt cold. Why didn't he tell me? Why didn't they leave? They started seeing shadows even during the day. Sometimes while sitting on the couch, they would see a figure move from one side of the room to the other. But when they looked, no one was there. At night, it got worse. The shadows stayed longer. Sometimes they stood in the corners, silent, still, watching. The girlfriend told me that the air always felt heavy, like something was pressing down on her chest. Sometimes she felt a hand on her back or her arm, even though she was alone. She started to feel tired all the time, sad for no reason, and she couldn't sleep well. Neither could my son. Then one night, she woke up screaming. My son turned on the lights and found her covered in scratches. Red, deep scratches all across her back and her legs. She said something had grabbed her in her sleep. She didn't know what, but she had never felt so scared. That was the final sign. They decided to leave, but they had a lease. They couldn't break it easily. So they found another place and began paying for 2 homes. They refused to sleep in that house again. It just felt wrong. Even when they came back during the day to grab more things, they said it felt like they were being watched, like the house was angry that they had left. Months passed. A friend of theirs needed a place and asked about the house. My son didn't want to scare them off, so he just said it was too far from work and offered to let them take over the lease. The friend moved in. 6 months later, the friend moved out. He didn't give much detail. He just said the house felt strange, noisy, cold. He said they couldn't sleep well, and they kept arguing with each other, more and more. My son told me the truth after the friend moved out. They had the same problems, he said. The noises, the shadows, the feeling of being followed. But we never told them. We didn't want them to laugh or think we were crazy. That house had no history. It was brand new, built just a year before they moved in. No one had lived there before. There were no murders, no accidents, nothing that would usually explain a haunting. And yet, something was there. It made me wonder, are spirits only in old houses? Or can they go wherever they want? Maybe they're not tied to the building, but to the land? Maybe something happened there long ago before the house was built. Or maybe spirits are just drawn to people, energy, and places where they can feed on fear. I've heard people say, "It's a new house, it can't be haunted." But I don't believe that anymore. My son's experience changed my mind. A house doesn't have to be old to hold darkness. They never went back to that house. Even now, they won't drive past it. My son's girlfriend still gets anxious talking about it. She said that when they left, she felt like something tried to follow her. It took her months to feel safe again. Even now, sometimes she wakes up at night and checks the corners of the room, just to make sure no shadows are watching her. I believe her. I heard the noises myself. I felt the fear in her voice, and I've seen what it did to them. There are things in this world we don't understand. Some houses, no matter how clean or new, are not empty. Some places are claimed by something else. And once you walk inside, it knows you're there. It waits. And it doesn't always want you to leave. They say a new house holds fresh starts and happy dreams. But sometimes, when land was silent for centuries, dark memories hide just under the soil. My nephew Michael and his wife Rachel learned this the hard way. Their story began the day they moved into a bright, modern home set deep in the country. The air felt clean, the fields stretched green as far as the eye could see, and the old trees whispered in the breeze. To them, it was perfect. Yet very soon, it became a place they could not escape. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Michael and Rachel both worked jobs in town, and they left before sunrise each morning. Their neighbor, Mr. Davis, lived 2 farms away. He was an old man with kind eyes who waved every time he saw them. One chilly morning in late spring, he came racing over, face pale and shaking. "Your garage door," he panted. "It opened and closed all yesterday by itself." Rachel laughed it off. "Maybe we forgot to lock the remote," she said. Michael shrugged and checked the remote. It worked fine. He tried the wall button. The door obeyed. Nothing strange. They thought maybe the wind got under the edge and bumped it. But Mr. Davis swore he saw the door rise and fall when no one was near. They left it for a day, and the door stayed closed. That evening, Michael came home first. He stepped into a silent, empty house. He called her name, but only his echo answered. He shrugged and went upstairs to change. When he came back down, he found Rachel staring at the dining room table. 8 heavy oak chairs sat neatly around it. But Rachel glanced away and back again with a strange look. "Where are the chairs?" she whispered. Michael stared. All the chairs were gone. In their place, only the table stood. He walked around it. No sign of scratches or scuff marks on the floor. All he said was, "I'll check the garage." He opened the door and froze. There, in the middle of the concrete floor, 8 oak chairs lay stacked, perfectly aligned, seat to seat, legs pointing skyward. They stood taller than any chair should. The pile reached 4 feet high. Michael swallowed hard. He kicked the stack. It wobbled, but did not fall. They looked too heavy to lift by 2 people, yet somehow they had moved across the yard, through the garage door, and into place without a scratch. Michael called Rachel. She came, her face pale. She touched the cold wood. "This isn't funny," she hissed. But neither of them had moved a muscle. Time passed. The chair stayed in the garage for 3 days. An electrician, a carpenter, a neighbor, they all said they saw the stack. No one dared move them. Finally, Michael slid the chairs back inside the house and set them in place. That night, they slept with the porch light on. A few weeks later, Rachel was lying on the couch, reading. Michael had gone to work, and the sun was setting outside the windows. She felt a weight on the sofa beside her. No sound, just a pressure, as if someone sat down, leaned back against the cushions. She looked up. The lamp's glow cast long shadows against the walls. No one was there. She shifted, heart pounding. The pressure lifted, but she did not dare move. She felt someone's hand drift across the top of the couch, as if settling. Then, the hand pressed against her shoulder for a moment. She flinched. The room was silent again. That night, she told Michael everything. He frowned and said it must be her mind playing tricks. But Rachel knew she had not imagined the weight, the feeling of breath warm against her neck. From that moment on, they both avoided the couch. One cold November evening, Rachel was in the bathroom, running a hot shower. Steam filled the room and fogged the glass. She stepped under the spray, sinking into the warm water. She relaxed. Above the tiles, the mirror glowed with a sheet of mist. As she washed her hair, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a figure. A tall man, wearing a dark coat, stood behind her reflection. She froze. The figure did not move. Rachel spun around and gasped when she saw only empty space. She wiped the mirror with a hand and peered. Nothing. The reflection now showed only her wet hair and pale skin. She stepped out, wrapped in a towel, and called, "Michael?" He answered from the hall. She stared at him, voice shaking. "Why didn't you come in?" she asked. He shook his head. "I just got home," he said. "I only stepped inside the door a moment ago." He had not even taken off his coat. Rachel's heart thumped as she realized the figure could not have been him. Michael and Rachel tried to escape. They packed their things one weekend and drove to stay with friends. But every place they stayed felt wrong. In one hotel room, they heard whispering voices in the next room. In another, they smelled old, cold air, as if the building had long been empty. No home felt safe. They returned weeks later, chasing rents, bills, life's demands. And there it was again, an article of Michael's clothing. Vanished. A shirt he left on a chair disappeared completely. He searched every drawer, every corner. Finally, he found it hanging over the handle of the attic door. The attic door was locked. He had not touched it in days. Christmas came, and the land turned white. For a moment, the world looked peaceful. Rachel lay in bed one morning, staring at the decorated tree through the bedroom window. She almost drifted back to sleep. Then she heard voices, soft, excited chatter, like three people talking about what to wear, which ornament to hang next, what treats to bake. The voices floated down the staircase and into the hall outside their bedroom door. Rachel's brave heart pounded. She slipped out of bed in her pajamas and crept to the top of the stairs. Through the banister slats, she peered down. The staircase was empty. The hallway doorway closed. No one stood by the tree. Yet the voices continued, drifting, as if in the air. She covered her ears, but they still whispered. She ran back to the bedroom, slammed the door, locked it, and dived under the blankets. Her pillow muffled the sound, but she knew it would not stop until she left. After 4 years, they had enough. The land had worn them down. The unseen tenant would not let go. They sold the house to someone else who dreamed of fresh starts on open fields. On moving day, Michael drove the old pile of chairs to the dump and pushed them into a metal bin. He watched the compactor crush them piece by piece. He hoped it smashed whatever spirit lived inside. But as he backed away, he heard the garage door open behind him. He whipped around. It closed just as fast. He ran back, but found nothing, only silence. They moved into a small townhouse in the city. The walls were thin, the rooms compact, but new land did not hold old ghosts. Months passed with no strange lights, no chairs stacking, no cold hands on couches, no voices in the morning. Peace at last. Yet sometimes, in the dead of night, Rachel sat in the living room and felt a soft click, like a garage door, or the points of 8 oak chair legs brushing the floor. She held her breath, listened. Then the house settled. The wind sighed through the vents. And she told herself it was only memory playing tricks. But a new family lives now where Michael and Rachel once did. They bought that country home last spring. At first, everything was fine. Then one day the garage door rose. No remote, no button, no human hand. It waited there, open, a yawning mouth for the darkness. A chill breeze slipped out over the lawn, and the old oak chairs, though long gone, seemed to whisper across the fields. Sometimes, the past never lets go. When we moved into the new apartment, everything seemed perfect. It was clean, fresh, and bright. The walls smelled like new paint, and the carpets were soft under our feet. My husband, my daughter, our dog, and I were all happy to have a new start in a peaceful town. The apartment complex was brand new, and we were one of the first families to live there. It was close to a small pioneer cemetery, but we didn't think anything of it. At first, everything felt normal. We unpacked our boxes, set up the rooms, and tried to enjoy our new home. My daughter was just a toddler then. She loved running around the apartment, laughing and playing with her toys. Our dog, a sweet and calm animal, liked to lie in the sun near the window. But not long after we settled in, strange things started to happen. One night, I was sitting in the living room. Everyone else was asleep. The room was dark except for the small light from the kitchen. I heard a clicking sound. Then the motion-activated nightlight in the hallway turned on. I looked around. No one was there. The light should only come on when someone walked by. I got up and checked. The hallway was empty. I thought maybe it was a bug or the air moving the curtain. I tried to forget it, but then it happened again. The next night, and the night after that. The light would turn on even when no one was near it. Sometimes, I would see it turn on from the corner of my eye, and I would get up to find nothing at all. We changed the batteries. We checked for any reason it might be broken, but the lights kept turning on by themselves. Then came the laptop incident. We had an old laptop that we didn't use much anymore. One day, I was watching a YouTube video on it, but the battery died. I closed it and left it on the table, thinking I'd plug it in later. I didn't plug it in that night. It was off, dead, and closed. The next morning, I heard sound coming from the living room. I walked in and saw the laptop was open. The screen was glowing, and the same YouTube video I had been watching was playing again. But there was no charger. It was still unplugged. My heart started beating fast. I picked it up and checked. The battery was still dead. But the video kept playing for a moment longer. Then the screen went black. That was when I really began to feel afraid. Our dog, who was always calm, began acting strange too. One night, I was sitting in the living room again. The dog was lying near the playpen, half asleep. Suddenly, she jumped up, staring at the hallway. Her fur stood up on her back. She didn't bark, which was even more strange. Instead, she started shaking, her tail tucked between her legs. She walked backward, trying to hide behind the playpen. She was scared, really scared. I looked down the hallway, but saw nothing. Just darkness and the soft glow from the motion light. But she wouldn't stop staring. I called her, but she stayed frozen. I had never seen her like that before. Later that week, something happened with my daughter that I'll never forget. She had always liked the small closet near her room. She would sometimes stand in front of it, laughing and saying, "Hi," into the empty space. I thought it was just a game. Kids have great imaginations, right? But one day, I watched her standing at the closet door again, smiling and waving. "Hi," she said. "Hi, hi, hi." I watched her carefully this time. Her eyes were tracking something I couldn't see. Whatever it was, she was following it with her eyes as it moved from the closet, across the room, and toward the hallway. She waved the whole time. Then she stopped at the doorway and waved one last time. "Bye," she said happily. My blood ran cold. I hadn't seen anything, but she had. That same hallway, the one with the motion light, the one our dog feared. That was where she waved goodbye to something invisible. After that, more things happened. I would hear whispers at night, but no one was there. Doors opened by themselves. The TV turned on with no remote near it. Shadows moved along the walls when everyone was asleep. Sometimes I would feel cold air pass by me, like someone walking through the room. But the windows were closed and the heater was off. Our daughter kept talking to the closet friend. She would giggle, wave, and even try to share her toys. I asked her who she was talking to, but she would only say, "The nice one." That answer didn't help me sleep better at night. One night, I woke up from a deep sleep. I felt like someone was watching me. I opened my eyes and looked toward the door. There was a shape standing there. tall, dark, and still. I blinked, thinking it was my imagination, but it didn't move. I turned on the light beside my bed, and the figure was gone. After that night, I couldn't sleep without the light on. My husband didn't see these things often, but even he admitted that something felt wrong. He once heard footsteps in the hallway late at night while we were both in bed. He thought it was me, but I was lying right beside him. He also noticed how the dog had changed. She no longer went near the hallway unless one of us was with her, and she never went near the closet again. We started keeping the closet door closed at all times. One night, as I was locking the door before bed, I saw something that shook me. In the glass of the window, I saw my own reflection. But behind me, there was another face, pale and staring. I turned around quickly, but no one was there. I didn't sleep that night. Over the months, the activity got worse. The lights would flicker even during the day. Items moved from one place to another without explanation. One time, my daughter's doll was found in the hallway, sitting upright, facing the bedroom door. No one had touched it. My daughter didn't like the apartment anymore. She cried more often. Sometimes she would say, "They're too loud," or "They don't like it when we're here." I asked, "Who doesn't like it?" She would shake her head and say, "The hallway ones." We finally decided it was time to leave. We broke our lease early and packed our things. I didn't care about the money. I just wanted out. Even as we packed, strange things kept happening. The lights flickered more. The dog barked at empty corners, and my daughter kept waving bye to the closet. The last night in the apartment, I walked through each room alone just to say goodbye. The air felt heavy, like someone was watching me. When I got to the hallway, the motion light turned on one last time. There was no one there. We left the next morning. As we drove away, my daughter looked back through the window and waved. "Bye-bye," she said. I asked, "Who are you waving to?" She smiled and said, "My friend." We never went back. I don't know if something happened on that land before they built the apartment. I don't know if the spirits came from the nearby Pioneer Cemetery. But I do know this: that place was haunted. And what we experienced was only the tame part. There are things I still can't explain, and some I don't even like to talk about. All I know is that not all ghosts come from old houses. Some come with new walls, fresh paint, and empty rooms waiting to be filled. But once they're inside, they don't want to leave. If you like the video, please give it a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.